Hey everyone, James here. Thank you all for tuning in again for another quick episode. This one's going to be a bit more short, a little bit more of a capsule review. So let me know if you like this format or if you kind of prefer the more in-depth ones. Today, continuing my 1980s Giallo quest, I'm going to be talking about Too Beautiful to Die, 1988, the sort of spiritual sequel to Nothing Underneath. This film was released in tandem with that film by Vinegar Syndrome. Looks great. Again, just like Nothing Underneath, I'd seen this film a few years ago, and when they released it, I took the time to go out and watch it on Tubi, which I believe is the same transfer that Vinegar Syndrome has, and it looks fantastic, and definitely a more enjoyable experience than watching something like a VHS, which is what I saw a few years back. So really appreciate the good work done towards film restoration and stuff by people over at Vinegar Syndrome there. Like Nothing Underneath, this film is, I'd say, probably a little bit more of a deep cut than that film, but it is well regarded amongst people that are into Giallo. So certainly not a Giallo that you're going to get in any, like, check out these 20 or anything like that, but it's a film that you will see mentioned now and then, and I think most people that do like Giallos do like this film. Interestingly, the Troy Holworth, which is a great book, great series of books on Giallos actually, he did not care for this film at all, found it very generic, and I can kind of get that. I think compared to Nothing Underneath, this is, when I watched them, I would say that I liked Nothing Underneath just a little bit more than Too Beautiful to Die. But, thinking about them and coming back to them a week or 2 weeks later, Nothing Underneath I can recall. And maybe part of that is just because the very bonkers kind of like plot devices they added in of like the psychic connection of a park ranger in Yellowstone National Park in the U.S. going to Milan, Italy. That's something that you do not forget easily. Too Beautiful to Die has a little bit more of that kind of generic models getting knocked off and whatnot. So again, sort of taking that very, very familiar old school Giallo premise all the way back from Blood and Black Lace, but carried through a number of films in the 70s especially, and just updating it into the 1980s. So interestingly, and unsurprisingly, if you've seen this film, Dario Piana directed it, who was well known for directing a bunch of music videos. Unlike the Vanzina brothers, he was far more prolific in sort of that space rather than working in film and televisions and stuff like that. So if you load up Carlo or Enrico Vanzina's filmography, you're going to get a whole list of things that they've been working on. Dario Piana has only done just one or two projects to it. Nonetheless, the film looks quite good. Those music video directors, we have had some good ones cycle through, people like David Fincher, and the film is quite stylish. I think it looks pretty good overall. So I feel like the film for Giallo fans, that's such a big aspect of the appeal there for a lot of these Giallos, is just the look and feel and the very 80s soundtrack, and this film has all those things too. I would say the kills are quite good. This film, compared to Nothing Underneath, leans a little bit more heavily into that slasher, sleazy vibe to it. So it's sort of like a more slashery, sleazy Giallo that's still very much very 1980s and kind of has a lot of music videos and music video creation into it. Sounds up your alley. Then this is definitely worth checking out too. Definitely a little more sleaze to this too. This one film also does more of the bad people dying thing, where it's like a lot of characters. It's sort of the way that a slasher can have its cake and eat it too, is basically like we're watching, it makes it fun by having a bunch of bad people that are terrible getting knocked off by the killer, so you can sort of enjoy them getting knocked off. So this film does that, I think, a little bit more than something like Nothing Underneath does. There's some nice slow-mo in this, pacing a little bit worse. Maybe that's unsurprising because the Piana was more experienced, less experienced in sort of carrying a narrative and stuff like that. I would say this film is perfectly solid and a little bit forgettable, very much still very 1980s. Who won? I'll just give it to Piana by default, just because, I think he did a solid job. I'm glad to have this film around. I don't think you're going to blow anyone away or anything like that, but it's a solid, worth watching if you are a fan of the genre. as I am. So probably a film that, because it's sort of forgettable, I could revisit in 5 years or so and probably have probably enjoy it all over again. Rating wise, I will give this a 6.5 out of 10. So I gave Nothing Underneath 7.5, 6.5. I would say, in my mind at least, Nothing Underneath grows a bit in my head, and this one kind of goes the other direction. So, let me know what you think of Too Beautiful to Die, what your favorite 1980s giallos are, what you think the most 1980s giallos are, and yeah, and thanks for everyone for leaving comments and subscribing. Please do that if you are interested in seeing more content, and I will see you all next time.